This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Boston punk legends Dropkick Murphys are set to hit the Palace Theater on March 6th. Don't miss out. Tickets are on sale now. You can get full details at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Carson Wentz will undergo season-ending surgery on his left shoulder. That is apparently now official. He'll go on IR. And so his season, maybe his career as a Minnesota Viking, is over. Kyle from Isanti writes, after the game presser, KOC thanked Wentz for weathering the storm. That wasn't a storm. That was a Category 5 hurricane he was asked to weather, one could say, right? And he ain't blameless. I get that. He was not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But it will be, I think it's going to stand up as one of the great mysteries of KOC's run, no matter how long that run is in Minnesota, that he did not pull him from that game. Again, that's the sort of thing where if Mike Zimmer doesn't,
right,
be like, God, that's cruel. What's that? I mean, does he have a heart? There's a piece of this that's got to be explained to me. Maybe Seifert will be able to tell me. I'm not sure. Maybe Lieber. But it still doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. Here's my question. You can't go with two quarterbacks. I know you want your guy to start.
Right.
So is there a quarterback I'm forgetting that we still had on our taxi squad that we can move up? Or are we going to be we got to add another body, don't we? Don't you have to have 3 in the building?
They must already have that because they.
Who am I forgetting?
Well, wasn't there a Desmond Ridder? Do we still have him?
I don't know.
Didn't we have him for a second?
I've lost touch.
I'm gonna look it up here quickly. But they brought in. They're signing a tight end.
I saw that.
That was
yeah,
part of it.
That roster spot is going to a tight end. You're right. So, by the way, it was tight end day on Sunday. And how about the Packers tight end? Did he celebrate or what? He was a beast last night. This is unbelievable. We're already 3 games behind the Packers in the loss column, by the way.
You
know that, right?
I'm
Aren't
aware
the Packers
of all of
5-1-1? We're 3-4, and we got to go to avoid being 3-5. We got to go to Detroit and win. And by the way, by the time we play Baltimore, is that the next week? Lamar's going to be back. In fact, the rumor is Lamar will probably, I think they play Thursday this week. That he may be back then. And you know the other rumor? Despite the fact they went into that game, I think 1-5, they were convinced that they could win the game against the Bears without Lamar Jackson. And you know what? They were right.
30-16.
Huntley, I mean, and you know, for all these people say, oh, you can't, it's hard to win with a backup quarterback. Huntley was the 3rd string quarterback. They didn't even go to him originally as the backup. They went to the guy who beat us. The guy who used to be in Dallas was their backup. Wasn't until this week that they went with Huntley, and he looked brilliant against the Bears. So don't tell me you can never win a game with a backup quarterback. They won with a 3rd stringer. So keep that in mind for the future. But now it doesn't matter. Now it's J.J. McCarthy's on the clock. No, it's his baby. And there's going to be a lot of pressure on him from the beginning.
By the way, his ankle looked pretty good when he had to hop one of his teammates.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody said
everybody
it.
Was like,
I haven't been on since
that.
then.
Yeah.
That was like a 15-inch vertical,
right.
Just out of nowhere. He just hopped over a guy.
You think he's been playing possum?
Well, I'm saying he looks pretty good. He didn't look like he landed funny or he had any residuals from that jump. It looked quick, nice explosiveness, and then he just stood there. Looked ready to go. Heard a lot about his lower body base, the last few weeks.
We certainly have.
His lower body base seemed fine. Base, balance, and Brosler.
That's what happens when you got to fill in when you can't talk about him playing. You got to make stuff up and fill in all these other areas. Who starts tonight? Do we know? Who's in place of Anthony Edwards?
It's a good question.
It's Denver, we were saying, right? Denver is a problem. I really believe. I like their offseason acquisition. I think they're a better team than they were a year. I think they have better support help for him than they did a year ago. I really do.
They had a hellacious game with Golden State.
Yeah,
was that Thursday night?
Yeah.
That was a fun game. Steph went nuts, scored like the last 30. I'm trying to think. Do they go with Clark? Do they go with Shannon?
Yeah, it depends on
Clark off the bench. It's got to be one of those two, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, we know it ain't going to be Dillingham.
No, it's not going to be Dillingham.
That's for sure.
Am I forgetting somebody? It's got to be one of the young kids.
Bones Highland.
Yeah, but he's the point guard.
Yeah. Well,
so if you're starting Dante at the point, I think it's got to be Clark or Shannon.
Could be Shannon.
That would be my guess.
Who are we forgetting? I mean, it's obviously they're going to center the offense more around Randall than they have. And he was over 30 last night, wasn't he?
He was good.
Yeah, he had a nice ball game. All right, I got a Gopher question for you because I think this is the biggest disappointment for me regarding the Iowa game. And then we'll mix and match. And as I mentioned, Ben Lieber is going to join later. We'll get his reaction to the Wentz news. Out now for the season, preparing for shoulder surgery. And then Johnny Athletic will file a live report. He'll be at Target Center by then, won't he? 5:30?
Probably.
It's a home game, isn't it?
Yes, 8:30 tip.
So we got the Lakers. Is it Wednesday?
Wednesday. Another 8:30 tip.
No LeBron.
No Luka.
No skinny Luka.
But the best third option in the NBA, Austin
51?
Reeves. 51 last night.
51 undrafted.
Yeah. He's been good. He was good the other night against us. He killed us, too.
Yeah.
Luka was the story that night, but helps.
They call him the Hillbilly Kobe, which sounds a little bit, suspicious to me, but, you can do the stereotyping if you want to. That's one of his nicknames, yeah.
Okay.
The Hillbilly Kobe.
Okay. I thought it was AR-15.
I think there's that's another one, but that's kind of fallen out of favor.
Can't do that one either.
I think in the history of the league, there have been, 3 or 4 undrafted players to ever score 50 or more. He's now one of them. Yeah, I think he was 21 for 22 from the free throw line.
Yeah, he can get going.
Yeah. All right, let's stay on schedule.
Give some money away.
Let's do that, too.
Fan and 2 men and a junk truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks. It is our national cash contest. Second keyword of the afternoon is check. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword check.
To play.
Ryan wants to know whether the Wolves game will be exclusively on Peacock tonight or also on FanDuel Sports Network. Do you know the answer to that question? I don't think I do.
I don't, but I think...
We'll double check it. I'll
double check, but I'm pretty sure it's just on Peacock. But
I think you might be right as well.
Was Fridays just on Amazon, or was that on FanDuel as well? Because I watched it on
question.
Prime
I watched
Video.
it on Amazon, so I don't know. It's so much harder to go back and forth between Dish stuff and that. So I don't have the answer to that question either. But we'll try to get to the bottom of exactly that. Yeah, it's hard to keep up, right? You do have to pay attention these days.
Yes.
There's a lot of options. There's no question about that. Here's my. This is Jason from Egan. Caleb got ripped for the same behavior last year as what Herb Street, I don't share GAG's affection for that guy, ripped Wentz for. Well, in this case, you were not agreeing with Herb Street. That was your point, right?
Right.
Yeah, you were saying
I thought it was ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, Caleb. Well, yeah, Caleb did get ripped for some of that. With Caleb, it seemed like it happened whether he was injured or not, or whether he was just frustrated and then was on the bench, laying down, things like that, which is never a helpful look. I don't know that's the difference between being good and bad, but I don't know that it's necessarily helpful. But again, to your point, I don't want to belabor it, but it almost feels to me like the Vikings agreed with Herb Street. Because otherwise, it doesn't make any sense that you don't pull a guy who's in that much agony, unless you're convinced that it's not that he's kind of milking it a little bit. But it's hard to accuse a man of milking it when he's now going to undergo surgery on said shoulder. That would indicate some structural issues, would it not?
It would.
I know people want to hammer him, and I'm not here to tell you he's looked like an MVP candidate, but I laud his ability to hang in, man. I do, and I still think he wasn't as bad as the McBobos want to believe, given the position he walked into. He came in, 3 days before the season?
Yeah, I have nothing but respect for Carson Wentz. He is who he is.
And he is who he is. Yeah, it's exactly it.
You shouldn't be expecting, for a guy that's been on, he set a record for starting 6 games for 6 different teams in 6 straight seasons, right? Or a game for 6 different teams in 6 seasons.
Yes.
Like, there's a reason. It's because he's not great.
No, he's not.
But he's functional, and he answered the call, and he played, and he was obviously very tough. There's no Wentz slander for me. He is who he is.
There is so much else going on with this team beyond the quarterback position. And if you can't figure that out after that last game, then you're delusional. We laid out some of it. I mean, we've given up over 200 yards rushing twice. We give up major rushing to good runners, great runners, and third and fourth string runners. Doesn't seem to matter. We're getting gashed on pass defense whenever the quarterback is pretty good or very good. We've still got these bizarre, just untimely penalties in the special teams game and a couple other places that hurt. We do not have solid defensive line play. We do not have solid offensive line play. Not all of that can be about injury because the defensive line isn't that hurt. Offensive line, yeah, that's certainly part of it. And I also think that the head coach is not stuck to who had the stat today? Was it your guy, Alec Lewis? See if I can find it here on the fly. I think I saved it. Because I thought it was, it's not at the top of the list of problems, but it does, I think, reflect one. Vikings in 2nd and 2 or fewer, or 3rd and 2 or fewer since 2022. You want to guess our pass rate? Since 2022.
Pass rate?
On 2nd and 2 or fewer, 3rd and 2 or fewer.
I'm going to say 70%.
Well, no, it's not quite that bad.
Oh.
It's 51.2, but that is the highest in the league in that period. Run rate, 48.8, lowest in the NFL.
Did you see the game?
Success rate, 55.7%, also lowest in the National Football League. So we're not making this stuff up. And I added to the list. I think what I said Friday, and I think I heard you use the same term with the Gophers because they both apply. Both those games were total, it's the Pollad quote, both those games were total system failures.
Mm-hmm.
Completely. I mean, it wasn't about any one thing. That's what made it so disturbing.
You can't micromanage that one.
No, I don't think
everything.
so.
Just
now,
Peacock tonight, by the way.
It is the Peacock alone. Okay.
Exactly.
Here's what disappointed me about the Iowa game. We've talked about this before. The Gophers are never going to be the Vikings in this town, right? It's just not going to work that way. That's not their fault. That's not about results. That's just about the pecking order. But there have been in several seasons opportunities to say, for maybe the casual football fan to go, wait a minute, this feels a little different. Feels like something different's going on, right? Now, you could say, to a certain extent, the Gophers already blew that by losing to Cal. And even the way they played against Purdue, even though they came back and won. But then you have such a total system success against Nebraska. I think it opened the door to, this season you've opened the door a little bit to what might be something really worth paying attention to. And by the way, at the same time, the Vikings seem to be going in the wrong direction. So you even have a chance to maybe gain a little leverage there too. And then you play as poorly as they did in that game, as non-competitively as they did in that game. You play to every stereotype about the Iowa Gopher rivalry going back forever, right? 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, whatever the case may be. And to me, it's at that point you go again, this is going to be another cute season. They're going to win more games than they lose. They could still win 8, right? They still have a chance to win 8 games. Mm-hmm. But the window, the opportunity that you created by a really good performance against Nebraska, I don't even think it called for that you had to win the Iowa game. But obviously that would have been the home run.
Yeah.
But you had to at least make it a ball game, right? You had to make it a ball game. And now that you haven't, I think people are done. They're going to tune out. The casual fan is out again. I'll see you on a given Saturday what they do. They got Michigan State this week. Michigan State, I think, is winless in the Big Ten. So that's obviously a game they can win. They probably should win. But what do we got left? We got to go to Oregon.
Right.
We got Wisconsin, which obviously is very winnable. Whom I forget, Northwestern
at Wrigley.
So
yep.
I just think that's and several years there have been those games where it looks encouraging, but it doesn't get sustained to a place where you go, oh, they're moving up one level. The one level is gone again this year, as far as I'm concerned. That to me had to be the disappointing part for them. Is they didn't show. They did not show. They showed less even than the Vikings showed up against the Chargers in L.A. 2 days before.
About 60% of what you just said is essentially what I said on the car ride home from Iowa with my family. Because I thought the same thing after Thursday night. If the Gophers go and beat Iowa, people are going to pay attention because, they always have their fans, right?
Yes,
they always have their students, and they always have the people that go.
Correct.
But we've talked about it with all the sports in this town. If the Vikings give you an opportunity, people will flock and go check some things out. And I think the Nebraska game got some people's attention more than they had been paying attention to so far this season. And so it was completely deflating so I was excited about the game. So I was excited to see how they were going to play against Iowa. Iowa, as good as they played the other day and as well as they played last week against Penn State, there were still, I think, some questions about them. Now people are talking about them being in the playoffs potentially if they beat Oregon in 2 weeks. And
that game's in Iowa City.
It is.
Correct? Yeah.
They have a bye, and then Oregon comes to town. So that's going to be probably the game of the week that week in the Big Ten.
I'll watch that game. That game will interest me.
It'll interest most of the country. It should.
I'm kind of curious to see, can they carry it through?
And so that's where I was fired up about what that game was going to look like and what it could potentially mean. Again, not that you have to win. That is the home run, but let's see it. Let's go down there and see what happens. I was excited to see how Drake Lindsey was going to play because I think he's good.
That was his worst game, obviously.
By far. And that's the disappointing part is because there is the reality that you have these little moments as the years go on to really kind of get other people's attention and show that it's going to be something different. And they, within 15 minutes of the game, it was over in every way possible. And now we've talked about this before. You got to go beat Oregon, which is obviously, unlikely, difficult.
Yeah,
no one's going to bet on it.
That's the only way you could reverse it.
And so that's the tough part.
So I don't think I hallucinated this. Did I not see in the Gopher Iowa game, Iowa throw the ball downfield on a 2nd and 2? Speaking of 2nd and 2s, we're talking about with the Vikings. It's we refuse to run on 2nd and 2. Iowa, you look as the exact opposite extreme. They refuse to pass the ball on 2nd and 2. And to me, that's the other thing where, as much as I thought PJ and company looked like they'd outcoached Rule and company, they looked outcoached against Iowa. They looked like they had a better plan. Their plan wasn't just that the quarterback run all of the time. He obviously ran some, but it was also we got a few throws we think we can make, at least early in the game that they did. And that was the stunner to me. Now, I'm not expecting them to become Air Coryell, obviously, but
no.
And then let's face it, the second half they weren't going to throw it all because they want to end the game, right? They want to get out of Dodge with the victory.
Well, what's frustrating is they actually did throw it a little bit, and the quarterback couldn't complete the passes. That's where it was also annoying because he obviously made some passes in the first half, including the deep one.
Yes.
And then you watch him because he hasn't been a good passer all season, and you go, "That's the guy you were kind of expecting to see."
Right.
And for whatever the reason, they didn't see him. And the stat I used on the Sunday show yesterday was since Kirk Ferentz kind of got it going in his third season, he's 20-5 against Minnesota. He's 20-7 all time. He lost his first 2 to Mace.
Think about that.
20-5. He's just owned them, no matter who the coach was. And sometimes you think, I've been down there when you think the Gophers are going to win, 2019. I've been down when they hate their coordinator. That's like every other year when they want to fire Kirk. And none of it has mattered in this matchup. Because we spent all that time about Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And now they've kind of flipped that one. But the Iowa one for 25 years has been extremely one-sided.
Time now for the Vikings Report on The Fan, presented by Miller Lite. Vikings wide receiver Adam Thielen joins Dan Barreiro next.
Have you can join me. I'm Gaardsy. We're back at Gray's Food Hall Sunday for a Purple Watch Party. They take on Detroit this Sunday at noon. Awesome food, great drinks, and your shot to win great prizes every single quarter. Get all the details now, KFAN.com. Keyword calendar. Would love to see you Sunday, Gray's Food Hall in Minneapolis.
Christian Darrisaw today. I came back way earlier than anyone had projected for me. I played in more games than I thought I would be at already. So it's just a part of the rehab. 12 months is what they told me. Crushed the rehab process and was able to play week 3. Regarding this week, he says his knee is feeling pretty good. See how it progresses as the week goes on. I'm not here to debate and disagree with Christian Darrisaw about being ahead of schedule and crushing it. But then I'll go back to what I've said at least once before. The Vikings then have done a very bad job of managing expectations in this case, right? And it's not it's a challenge to know how to publicly shape this, I guess. But we've talked to several of the reporters who are around this team, and there was never really, I mean, we just kept being told he's right on schedule and everything's going good. And the implication was he'll pretty much be ready for the start of the regular season, right? I don't know if those words were ever used, but being, the league being set up the way it is, attention being what it is, isn't there a way, an artful way for whether it's O'Connell, whether it's a general manager, the position, whatever, somebody to say, hey, look, we're very, very pleased with where Christian is here. But let's remember when this injury took place and how long these injuries are supposed to take. So we're going in with our eyes open. The more Christian we get, the better. That's our hope. But there may be stretches early in this season where we don't see him.
Right.
I just think that would have served his purpose better, because I think what he's finding himself more on the defensive, it's clearly than I think he thinks he should be, and I believe they could have done something about that. We've gotten texts on this for weeks. It's like, what was he pulling himself? What do you mean he's pulling himself out? What's going on here? Is he soft? What's the deal? Well, obviously he's not soft, but because all along it was, hey, everything's great with Christian.
Yep.
Well, literally they might have meant that, but they should have found a way, training staff somewhere in there, to say what I just said, that don't expect that we know, that everybody knows he's going to be able to play every down of every offensive snap of every game from the start of the season. It may be a little bit more complicated. It may be we may have to go sideways a little bit, because all of this is in the name of caution, because what's the objective? The long-term viability and health of one of our most important players.
Good friend of mine used to be a host at a restaurant somewhere, and one thing they were always told when a guest comes in and says, we'd like a table for 4, is no problem. That'll be 20 minutes. And you go, okay. When they know it's going to be 10. Because when they pull up and all of a sudden their little buzzer rings 10 minutes earlier than they thought, everybody's excited, right? When do the customers get pissed? Yeah, we were told our table is going to be ready in 15 minutes. We've been here for 25. We've been here for 30. Any update on the guard table for 4? The point is, if you just manage things the right way on the front end, people, I think, are fairly reasonable.
Correct.
I don't know if you talked about this on Friday, but I also thought it was interesting when they were asking KOC about JJ after the game on Thursday, and he said something like, he'll be the starter when he's healthy, as has always been the case.
Yes.
Like, well, that hasn't been what you've told us for 3 weeks, right?
That's right?
And again, we don't expect you to name a starter every single time you go to the podium, but that's not what we heard, right? After Carson played well and they're in London and all this stuff.
Just answer your question. That's why I didn't say it, because at that point, Carson was in a different place, and he had to keep the option open, didn't he? So, to your point, he is trying to have it both ways. He is saying something different, and I don't even blame him for saying it, but he can't be upset with the question, right? The defensiveness regarding this whole thing. Thankfully, that's about to go away, right? Because there's no mystery left now, right? McCarthy is going to be the quarterback the rest of this season unless he can't stay healthy.
Right.
Period. End of story.
Yeah.
All right, let's break. Let's get Nacho Lieber's reaction to the Carson Wentz news. Maybe what he sees regarding the National Football Conference North. Bears came back to reality yesterday, but the Packers keep kind of rolling along. Stay